What's happening, everybody? Thursday, August 7th, 2025. My name is Kevin Smith. Thank you all so much for tuning into Loud Majority Live. We got a jam-packed show for you guys today. Apple has announced a $600 billion investment into the United States. Why this is important. Many people will just see the investment as important, but it's more important about where they are exactly divesting from. We're going to get into all of that. Judge Jeanine Pirro is kicking ass and taking names in Washington, D.C. as Donald Trump considers federalizing the Capitol. We're going to talk about why this is important, what it would mean, and why everybody is freaking out over it. Also, a Texas Democrat compares redrawing congressional district lines to the Holocaust. To the Holocaust. You heard me right. Maybe that woman could, chill out a little bit. And we look at 2028 hopefuls. Where does everybody stack up? Where does everybody stack up? Before we get started, guys, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Share the video out all over the place. We are rocking. We are rolling here. Guys, do me a favor and head on over to loudmajorityusa.com. That's loudmajorityusa.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Check out our shop. That is the best way to support this show and everything we've got going on over here. Also, once again, guys, let's see. August 24th, we'll be at the Wisconsin Street Fair. We're having a big voter registration drive and campaign kickoff. Make sure you guys come on down, hang out, grab a drink. It's going to be a good time. Also, August 31st, I'll be at the Ronkonkoma Street Fair, as I always am. More voter reg, more giddy up, more let's go. All good stuff, all happening once again. Also, guys, starting Monday, this show will be moved to 3 p.m. That's 3 p.m. Eastern time. So keep it locked in here for all of that. Keep it locked in here once again, 3 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to be putting out a flyer very, very soon about that. Guys, once again, thank you, everybody, for hanging out, checking it out. Good stuff happening all around. So let's dive right on into the news. Apple commits a $600 billion investment with a major manufacturing expansion. This is big stuff, and we're going to go over exactly why after the news. CEO of Apple, Tim Cook, met with President Trump at the White House on Wednesday as the company announced a new $100 billion investment into American operations. The new pledge brings Apple's total U.S. commitments to over $600 billion over the next 4 years. This is big stuff. This is big stuff, and we're going to talk about why it's big stuff. Well, it turns out all the fear-mongering, all the people losing their ever-loving mind over this. If we make stuff here in America, oh no, it's going to cost so much. Yeah, well, not really. The stock price is up 3% over the course of the day so far. Over the course of the day. Of course, that comes with the Dow Jones average being down slightly, about half a point at the moment, with the S&P 500 being down a quarter of a point, the NASDAQ composite up 0.1%. Now, why do I mention this? I mention all of this because India is very upset that they are being hit with new tariffs. Before we get to how those two work together, let's hear from President Trump.
Today, Apple is announcing that it will invest $600 billion, that's with a B, in the United States over the next 4 years. That's $100 billion more than they were originally going to invest. And this is the largest investment Apple has ever made in America and anywhere else. And it's just an honor to have you. As you know, Apple's been an investor in other countries a little bit. I won't say which ones, but a couple. And they're coming home. $600 billion. It's the biggest there is. The company is also unveiling its ambitious new American manufacturing program, which will bring factories and assembly lines across our country, all roaring to life. Areas that were not doing so well are doing very well. We have about $17 trillion coming into the United States, which is more than ever before. That's never even come close. There's never been anything like it. Even you, that's even a lot of money for you. But we have commitments of more than $17 trillion. That was as of a couple of weeks ago. These investments will directly create more than 20,000 brand new American jobs and many thousands more at the Apple suppliers like Corning, Broadcom, Texas Instruments, and Samsung, who all deal in that world. As part of this historic commitment, Apple will massively increase spending on its domestic supply chain for the iPhone and will build the largest and most sophisticated smart glass production line in the world in Harrodsburg, Kentucky, which is a great, actually, I did very well there. I like it because I see I did very well there.
Of course, he likes it because he did very well there, which, of course, is hilarious. Now, the point of all this is not, and anyone doing this sort of disingenuous sort of crap, which is what it is. It's just crap. Oh, we're going to go back to the old days of factory workers on assembly lines and sweatshops. No, we're not. Most of it, as a matter of fact, almost all of it will be automated. Now, why does this matter? But it's American jobs. You're right, it's American jobs in the future because somebody has to run those automations. We are moving production into the future. We're not going to be sitting there on Henry Ford-style assembly lines. It's not going to happen, but it's more than that. And this, I think, is the actual bigger point of the entire story. The bigger point of it is to pull jobs out of Southeast Asia. What do I mean by that? Well, China, where much of this stuff is made in the first place, the Chinese Communist Party can only do well because their people are currently not starving to death. Overall, things seem to be okay over there for their people. Now, most of them don't know any different. However, if factories start to close and companies begin to leave, Xi Jinping will then have to focus his attention on domestic policy and not so much on the foreign policy. If you are a routine viewer of this show, you know damn well that I have routinely said that every step along the way has been to box China out of the world markets. That's what they've done. To box them out of the world markets. Bring our companies back here so that we can then begin exporting things. And now that Apple is beginning to make this giant investment, Samsung will follow. The two largest phone manufacturers in the world. Of course, there's Weiwu. I think it's what it's called. Weiwu or Huawei, which is a Chinese phone company. President Trump understands that the Chinese economy needs us a hell of a lot more than we need them. Moreover, I think this really shows what it means when you run a country off of an actual plan and not on a 24-hour news cycle. And that's what I think the biggest difference is between Trump administration 1 and Trump administration 2. Is he's handling this more like a business, where when he went in the first time, he handled it much like a president, operating on a 24-hour news cycle. China operates under the idea of 24 years, not 24 hours. And sure, some of these things are taking a little bit longer than was promised, but they are crawling themselves back in a very serious way. The tech giant is expanding partnerships with U.S.-based companies like Corning, Texas Instruments, Broadcom, Global Wafers. Though AMP, Apple, says all covered glass for iPhones and Apple Watches will now be made in the United States, and new deals will expand rare earth magnet and silicon chip production domestically, the company said in a statement. Apple currently supports 450,000 jobs through its suppliers in all 50 states and operates 79 U.S. manufacturing facilities. It plans on hiring 20,000 more employees over the next 4 years and will focus on R&D and chip engineering. As President Trump said, key projects include a new Apple Corning Innovation Center in Kentucky, a major server manufacturer site in Houston, and expanded chip production at an Arizona plant. This stuff is huge. Huge. Because look, in many of these small towns all over America, and this has been happening for quite some time, in many of these small towns in America, one company, one industry dominated the entire town, coal. And when coal left, there was nothing else to do. There were no other jobs. The people didn't leave, but the industry left. Maybe it was any kind of factory. Really. Some kind of fabric company or any factory. We see, as President Trump said in his first administration, the tombstones in Detroit. which of course he was talking about the old factories. You start bringing these things back, you're going to start to see economic growth in many of the places that unfortunately have been forgotten about in all over America. Look, a lot of us watching this live here in New York. We know we'll be fine, but if you're in a small town in Kentucky or a small town in the middle of Pennsylvania and that steel plant closes, that coal mine shuts down, that factory closes, the town goes with it. And over the course of the last 50 or 60 years, while we have outsourced good union paying jobs in many of these places while importing, pills, we've seen the rapid decline in American society. So I'm happy to see that we are going to now have American companies make American products for Americans in America. Naturally, the radical left is losing their mind over this as wins after wins after wins continue to pile up. Continue to pile up left, right, and center. And thank God that they are. Thank God that they are. Because we told you guys this was going to happen. That it was going to take a little bit of time. What do we got here? Mayor Eric Adams is... Hold on, let's see here. Mayor Eric Adams is speaking right now in New York City. Let's see if we can pull this up real quick. We'll check. Oh, no, he shut off already. Alrighty. Yeah, I guess Adams is opening a new campaign office. That would be good. That would be good, bro. Oh, no, he's still going. Let's check out... Let's see what Mayor Eric Adams is up to right now. See if he has anything interesting to say on Mr. Mondani.
Why is it so important? We're starting out in Brooklyn. 2.7 million New Yorkers live here in this borough. If it was its own city, it would be the third or the fourth largest city in America. And when you look at the diversity that is in this borough, and who I know those who wear hijabs, those who wear kufis, those who wear yarmulkes, or those who wear turbans, those who have a cross around their necks, those who pray silently. The faith community of this city is a community I know so well. And why Brooklyn? Brooklyn is the place I was born. And when you look on the hat, it says Brownsville. It was the place that shaped and made me. It was the place that taught me the fortitude that I have right now to lead this city. It is a place where the residents, like all the other 4 boroughs, have gone through a lot. And we need a mayor that has gone through a lot to help people who are going through a lot. It's a place where we've learned to deliver for working class people. As my days as a senator, as my days as a borough president, in my days as the mayor of the city of New York, I knew what I had to do when I became mayor. I knew that coming from a place like Brooklyn, I was not born with a silver spoon. I was born with a wooden spoon. And oftentimes there was no food on that spoon. Do an analysis of those who are running for office and look at their upbringing and their life. And then look at my life and do a comparison, and you will see it is closely aligned with the working class people of this city. I am you. Yes. I am you. Yes. Your dreams and aspirations, those are my dreams and aspirations. That is what we produced in this first term in office. You said that public safety was an issue. We responded. 23,000 almost illegal guns removed off our streets. Crime has continued to drop in this city over and over again in the communities that matter. We don't want to open Rikers Island and let 7,400 of the most dangerous inmates back into our community without the proper support that they need so they don't recommit crime. Right. You told me housing was an issue. What did we do? We broke records in individual years on the number of housing units that were built in this city. And what we're doing in our planning to reach the number of over 400,000 new housing will be in this city so we can house New Yorkers. But we did more than that. We moved more people out of homelessness into permanent housing.
All right, that's just Eric Adams yammering on. Nothing of value there, as Eric Adams somehow is lower in the polls than anybody else. He's the sitting mayor, for Christ's sake. But he seems to be on his way out. God, this New York City mayor race is, it's not good. It's not good. Meanwhile, Zorhan is out there doing his damnedest to secure as much support as he possibly can. We're going to get to the concept of crime in a little bit because, now Zorhan seems to be a little bit worried. We're going to get to it in a sec because it turns out Curtis Sliwa actually had a major fundraising haul over the last couple of months, a major fundraising haul, and now Zorhan is getting a little bit worried. And because of that, he's going after Donald Trump, which I find to be incredibly ironic because Curtis Sliwa hates Donald Trump. Everybody knows that. Here was Zorhan Mandani going after Trump.
It is at this very site that we understand the cost of this news. That former Governor Cuomo has been conspiring with President Trump about the fate of this city, about the future of this city, about the facts of this race. It is knowledge that is a betrayal of everything that we stand for as New Yorkers. It is knowledge that disappoints us, and yet it does not surprise us, because it builds on a history that we have seen with this former governor. A history of trying to hide that which he knows is offensive to the values of this city from the people of this city. We see that with this call itself. Something that took place many weeks ago, and yet it took the New York Times to share this with New Yorkers. We know that this former governor has very little regard, whether it be for the Democratic Party, the democratic process, or for Democrats themselves, because he would rather look past having been beaten by close to 13 points by a campaign that amassed more votes than any Democratic primary winner in New York City history, to the extent that he would actually have a conversation with the very president who is stealing food from the hungry, who is throwing New Yorkers and Americans from coast to coast off of their health care, and doing so all in service of yet another significant wealth transfer between those who do not have enough in their pocket to those who have more than they know what to do with. We know that Andrew Cuomo will sell working people out for his interests, for the interests of the billionaires that supported him, for the interests of Donald Trump, because all of those interests are lining up as one and the same. It is time for us to say enough. It is time for us to make clear that what this city deserves is a mayor who, when he sees Donald Trump attacking the people of this city, will stand up and fight back against that vision. Will not get on the phone with the architect of that vision to speak about a race that we already know should be a referendum on how to make the most expensive city in the United States of America affordable. Not a question of how we can install yet another ambassador for Washington, D.C. in City Hall.
I mean, look, I don't even know what the hell he's talking about in half of that right there. First off, Zorhan, you're not a New Yorker. Not at all. Not even a little bit. But, look, he's smooth. He's smooth, and I can understand why people like him. But we are seeing, between whether it's him or it's Mayor Eric Adams, people continue to talk about crime going down all over the country. And that simply is not the case. It simply is not the case. The majority of the reason why crime is going down is not the fact that the number of crimes have sunk, but the prosecutions of said crimes. And Judge Jeanine Pirro goes on about this when she's talking about Donald Trump federalizing Washington, D.C. I want to be clear. When they say that, that is almost a notch above a terminology change. Nothing would actually change. But the Washington, D.C. City Council, and if you've had the displeasure of being there anytime in the recent history, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Here was Judge Jeanine talking about the fact that criminal youths are getting off with basically murder because of the liberal appointed judges.
Do you support a federal takeover of Washington, D.C.? as the president has suggested?
Yeah, that is a decision for the president. And I think that what the president was saying is that we're seeing far too much crime being committed by young people, 14, 15, 16, 17 years old, that I can't get my hands on. I mean, I don't know if you've seen some of the pictures, but, you know, young people are coddled, and they don't need to be coddled anymore. They need to be held accountable. They shouldn't be going to arts and crafts in family court. They need to understand that enough is enough, and that the D.C. Council has to repeal some of these absurd ordinances and laws that they've had passed that do nothing to protect the people of this city and of this district. And I will reference a case that I wrote an op-ed piece on that I've been talking about for weeks. A young person gets on a bus with an illegal gun. There is a family on the bus. He makes a decision to shoot someone in the chest. There, to me, that's intent to kill. But for the grace of God, that individual did not die. Now, he's got a gun. It's illegal. He used the gun. Guess what the sentence was? I got a conviction. The sentence was probation. We can't have that. And by the way, he wasn't a kid. He was 19. These are the rules of the D.C. Council. They've got to be changed. We've got to have the ability to let young people know that they're going to be accountable. And if you look at some of these pictures of these kids being beaten by crews and bloodied up, and you want to tell me that, you know, it's only a kid who did it, no. Take a look at the bloodied up face and body, and you'll know that it's more than little kids doing this kind of thing.
Are you trying to get your office to take over what Brian Schwab is doing? Do you want to take over juvenile justice here in the city?
I'm not trying to do anything vis-a-vis Brian Schwab. All I want to do is clean up D.C. That's why the president put me here. And youth crime is on the rise. In the last 4 years, we've had 150,000 cases of youth violence. Okay, 4 years ago. Now it's close to 500,000 cases of youth violence. We've got D.C. as one of the highest murder rates in the country. So we can talk about crime going down, but going down from where?
Going down from where? That's the question. If you've got 1,000 shootings in a year and it goes down to 900, yeah, sure, it went down, but it went down from what? And it's so nice to see that someone like Jeanine Pirro, who clearly does not take any crap from anybody, is finally one of the people who's going to be in charge of getting the reins on this. Now, naturally, people lost their ever-loving mind. Donald Trump is a fascist, and he wants to take over Washington, D.C. No, he wants to put people in the positions to be able to fix it because the mayor and the Washington D.C. City Council clearly is choosing not to. Here with Judge Jeanine one more time.
This young kid who worked at the White House was beaten to a pulp. He's got a broken nose. He's got a severe concussion. He's battered all over his head, okay, by a gang of punks. 10 of them, I believe. 2 have been arrested, 2 15-year-olds. None of them come to my office, Laura, because they're not considered criminals. They go to family court where the effort is rehabilitation. The D.C. Council, and the president is right, they've got to stop their coddling. Number one, we've got to lower the age of responsibility to 14. I'm tired of having these kids commit crimes in their crews, not gangs in D.C. We've got an intern, you said it in your open. He's an intern from college. He gets shot going out for McDonald's at 10:30 at night. This kid is trying to help his girlfriend or his friend to a car. He gets assaulted, and but for a cop going by, they would have, had they gotten him on the ground, they would have stopped him and finished him. He was able to stay standing. This has to end. The council has this Youth Incarceration Act where we had a guy who shot a kid on a bus, not justified, with an illegal gun. You know what the sentence was? Probation. The judge said go to college. Okay? He took an illegal gun. He should be jailed for the illegal gun. Forget about the shooting. You put that on top of the gun. Then what we've got are kids who are out there who are making fun of all of this, doing carjackings, and I can't touch them because they want to protect them.
They know that, and that's why they travel in gangs.
Know that.
And the older kids
send out the younger kids to do the real dirty work because they know they're fine.
Accountability. They absolutely understand. And youth violence is on the rise, not just in D.C., but across the country. And if you think that these kids need to be coddled and they need to be hugged, they need to have consequences, they need to understand that enough is enough, that we're going to put them in jail or some kind of youth rehabilitation detention facility and not allow the D.C. Council, one of whom I just recently indicted, to take cover for these kids. It's time to end it. That's what the president wants. That's what we're going to do.
Look at what worked in New York City when Giuliani was mayor. He went after the small crimes, which led to reducing the big crimes. So the quality of life. So people defecating in the streets, blocks from the Capitol, which I saw the other day. That was lovely. The tents on K Street, the tents under the tunnels over here. They cleared up some of those out in front of Union Station, but it's horrific. This is the nation's capital.
Exactly.
And all over the United States, we have a similar story told. St. Louis, we've still seen blight
everywhere.
They want D.C. now to be Baltimore.
Well, here's the thing. D.C. is the nation's capital. People come here for pride and patriotism, not to get assaulted, carjacked, or shot, get caught in the crossfire like a young kid did last month.
Judge,
because you can tell the way an entity operates by how their capital is, obviously. That's where the seat of power is. Need any proof of that? Go look at Boise, Idaho, and then go look at Albany. Go look at Billings, Montana. And then go look at, I don't know, Harrisburg or Trenton. Something to think about. So you know what else is something you guys have to think about? Old Glory Bank.
When big banks decide who gets access to America's financial systems and who doesn't, who do you think gets left out? Middle Americans who proudly wave their pro-America values. Cancel culture in banking is corrosive. It limits your participation in a vibrant, free market economy. Fortunately, you can fight back. You now have the opportunity to invest in the bank that's investing in a fair American banking system, one based in freedom. Ownership in Old Glory Bank, the pro-America online bank, is here. Old Glory Bank is a full-service FDIC-insured bank that's the alternative to overreaching, un-American big banks. We stand for privacy, security, and liberty. We stand for freedom, family, faith, and the flag. We stand for all the values you stand for, and for the values big banks can't stand. So help keep banking in the hands of Main Street, not Wall Street. To invest in Old Glory Bank, go to oldglorybank.com.
Guys, head on over to oldglorybank.com. That's oldglorybank.com. They're a proud sponsor of the show, and right now they're the only thing keeping this damn thing running. So head on over to oldglorybank.com and consider opening up. If I were to give financial advice, which I'm absolutely not, but if I were to give financial advice, I would say open up a CD over at Old Glory Bank. That way you can lock in those interest rates before Jerome Powell either loses his job or lowers those interest rates. Lock those in today. Go to oldglorybank.com. So with people with crime happening all over the cities, where exactly do we stand? Where do we stand? Because we've seen people go up, we've seen people go down, we've seen it go side to side, generic ballots, left, right, and center. But what all does it mean as we move into 2028? Well, luckily, we on the Republican side, we know who our pick's going to be. So we don't even have to worry about that. Sure, there'll be an open primary process, but I'm pretty sure one person is going to emerge victorious from there. And, of course, that would be the OHIO boy, J.D. Vance. Harry Enton over at CNN agrees.
Let's talk about J.D. Vance and the 2028. Where does he stand on this?
You know, I'm going to quote the esteemed scholar Larry David and say, pretty good. What are we talking about right here? Well, why don't we take a look here? Look, this is early polling. But look, for the GOP nomination, it's J.D. Vance at 40%. There's no one even close to him. Ron DeSantis back at single digits at 8%. Donald Trump Jr. back at 7%. And I know Kate Baldwin will say, Harry, it's so early. It's too early to look at the polling.
You said it. You don't even need me to say it.
I said it, quoting you. I was channeling you. But keep in mind that early favorites have actually gone on to win the nomination 63% of the time, those who have run since 1980. And when you're dealing with fields that are 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, upwards of north of 20, and all of a sudden you're telling me that the early poll leader, who is J.D. Vance, that those win more than 50% of the time? That is why I say it looks pretty gosh darn good, or pretty good for the man from Ohio.
How about vice presidents historically? How they do.
Okay, so you see the polling, you see that J.D. Vance should be considered a favorite at this point, but take a look here. How about vice presidents, sitting vice presidents, the last 5 sitting vice presidents who ran? Richard Nixon in 60, he won. How about Hubert Horatio Humphrey in 68? That's HHH, that's a real acronym for him. How about Bush the first in 88, won. Al Gore in 2001, Kamala Harris in 2024, won. All of the last 5 sitting vice presidents who ran for their party's nomination won. So it's not just the polling. Historically speaking, if J.D. Vance gets in this fight and he's the sitting vice president, the history books say, hey, he's got a pretty gosh darn chance of going all the way, at least to the general election, because 5 out of 5.
Getting the nomination.
Yes.
How would President Trump factor into his chances?
Yeah, okay, so President Trump, has said some pretty gosh darn favorable things about J.D. Vance over the last week and his chances perhaps in 2028. Look at this. Times Trump endorses in GOP primaries, and that person goes on to win. Look at this. In 2020, 98%. 2022, 95%. 2024, 96%. If Donald Trump decides to get behind his vice president, this GOP nomination fight in 2028 is likely adios amigos over. J.D. Vance is very much likely going to be the GOP nominee, which is what the polling says and what his history says as well. At this point, things all seem to be coming up for J.D.
J.D. Thank you, Harry.
Thank you, Kate.
Love you.
Look, I hate CNN, but I got to be honest. That guy Harry Enton's actually really funny. He's actually funny as hell. So things are looking pretty good for JD moving forward. You guys know I've been quite bullish on him for the last couple of years. I think he quite literally embodies the American dream, embodies the story of what it is to be an American. So you know what? I want more of JD Vance going into 2028, but the only way we can get there is if we get through 2026 first, and the way to do that is to get involved. So guys, I'm begging you, wherever it is you are watching from, please, if you're trying to get involved in a local race, reach out to me and I will connect you with someone involved in your local area. I've got activists all over the country who are ready to get involved, who are ready to get to work, who are ready to put boots on the ground, get rocking and get rolling. We'll be back in 1 second. Before we do that, the other guy keeping the show afloat, Mike Lindell.
I'm excited to announce that we're having our first ever mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save over 50% on this season's flannel sheets. Queen size only $59.98. Kings only $69.98. They sell out fast every year, so order now. Save 20% on our brand new My Crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one I've worn every day for over 20 years. They come in men's and women's, and they're made right here in the USA. Get our 2025 6-piece My Towel sets for only $29.98. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. And our best-selling standard My Pillows, just $14.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our first ever mega sale. But wait, remember that $75 free shipping rule? Well, that ship is sailed because right now, every order ships absolutely free.
Guys, head on over to MyPillow.com. Promo code LOUD, that's MyPillow.com. Promo code LOUD for up to 80% off everything on the website. That's MyPillow.com. Promo code LOUD. So as I've said before, J.D. Vance embodies everything it is to be the American dream. One person who does not embody what it is to be the American dream would be old pencil neck Adam Schiff. And it turns out the rumors are true. He is now under federal investigation for mortgage fraud. I love hearing it.
And tonight, an update on an Ingram Angle exclusive. A Trump administration source telling the Angle that a criminal investigation of Adam Schiff is underway, conducted by U.S. Attorney's Office in Maryland for possible charges involving mortgage fraud. Now, this follows the story we broke last month when the Federal Housing Finance Agency sent a criminal referral to the DOJ alleging that Schiff in multiple instances, falsified bank documents and property records to acquire more favorable loan terms. In a 2011 affidavit signed by the then California congressman, he certified that a property in Montgomery County, Maryland, is his primary residence. He also owns a condo in Burbank, California, which he's also claimed is his primary residence, and said so in 2023 during his campaign for Senate.
I think just about every member of Congress has a residence in their state and a residence back in D.C. since we're in session much of the week. And people make a family decision where they're going to have their kids. But our principal residence, our primary residence is in California. It always has been and always will be.
Ruh-roh. Well, Senator Schiff has not responded to us about these allegations, but we were able to find a statement that his campaign spokesperson gave to CNN back in 2023. She said that the Burbank condo is his primary residence, but Adams, California and Maryland addresses have been listed as primary residences for loan purposes because they're both occupied throughout the year and to distinguish them from a vacation property. Well, the law does not work that way. Let me just say that, but nice try. Look, it's anyone's guess what happens next, but we're going to stay on this story.
Adam Schiff officially under investigation. And you know what? Do I think this is going to come of anything? Probably not. Let's be honest here. Do I think Adam Schiff is going to get duck walked out for mortgage fraud? Probably not, as much as I would absolutely love to see it, as much as I know that you guys would absolutely love to see it. However, after being a royal pain in the ass for the last, decade, making up Russian collusion stuff, going on TV, lying to the American people, it is nice to know that Adam Schiff is just having an absolutely crappy day. Other people who continue to have insanely crappy days are basically every Democrat in Texas. Why? Because Governor Greg Abbott says he is not messing around anymore. He is saying that the FBI is now assisting Texas in apprehending some of their AWOL members of the Texas legislature.
Here's what we're doing. One is we have arrest warrants out for all of them. If there are some in Texas, which I understand that there may be, the Texas Department of Public Safety is searching for them. We'll find them and we'll arrest them and take them to the Texas Capitol. Those who are out of state think that they are beyond the reach of Texas law enforcement, and that they may or may not be. But for one, when they come back, they're not going to go to their cozy home. They will be arrested and taken to the Capitol. But know this, it's my understanding that the FBI is going to search for these derelict Texas House members in whatever state they may be in and help identify for them and maybe work with us to bring them back. Point one. Point two is these Democrats, they have received money and benefits at their request to support them while they are gone. It is a direct violation of the Texas Constitution as well as Texas bribery laws for them to receive a benefit to skip a vote. They could be charged with second-degree felony for committing bribery in the state of Texas. Third, and it happened yesterday, I filed a petition in the Texas Supreme Court that begins the removal process of these absconding Democrat members. And the Supreme Court responded immediately last night and told the leading Democrat in this cause, his name is Gene Wu, that he has to respond to my petition by Friday, where we're going to begin the process of trying to remove these absconding Democrats from office.
So let's hope that people actually step up to the plate in regards to, look, I hope Greg Abbott's not doing a lot of talking. I hope he's doing a lot of doing. But look, one will never know. We'll never know. He said a lot of could. Yes, that's right, Leah Hunt. That word could. A lot of hedging his bets there, which I'm not really totally a fan of. But, we shall see. But this has Texas Democrats in an absolute tizzy. An absolute tizzy. So much so that one of them actually went on this show. You guys might not have heard of it before. It's a smaller show. It's called the Don Lemon Show. I don't know if are you guys familiar with Don Lemon. He hasn't really been in the news in a while, so you guys might have forgotten about him. But Don Lemon had a Texas Democrat on who said that Texas redrawing their congressional district lines was basically the same as another historical moment.
And then integration happened and everybody thought they accept us. They don't accept us. They are showing us who they are. We should believe them. And we better have the courage to stand up. Otherwise, we will fall for anything. And in this country, we will be defeated, deported. I mean, we will lose all of our rights. And if you think it can't happen, it can. And I will liken this to the Holocaust. People are like, well, how did the Holocaust happen? How was somebody in a position to kill all them people? Well, good people remain silent. Or good people didn't realize that what happens to them can very soon happen to me or somebody I love. And so even if you made it, man, you have an obligation to help people who can't, because God forbid they end up targeting you and your family.
What? What? It's the same as the what? Are you shitting me, lady? Wow. So Texas making a new congressional map is the same as the Holocaust, according to Diet Ayanna Pressley, or whoever the hell that woman is. These people have absolutely no shame whatsoever. None at all. Like, maybe I would have taken what that woman said seriously until she said some shit like that. And now whenever, if she does say something intelligent, all I'm going to think about is that sentence, and I'm not going to care about the rest of it. I'm just not going to care about the rest of it. One thing you guys should care about is loudmajorityusa.com. That's loudmajorityusa.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Check out our shop. That is the best way to support this program and everything we've got going on. And right now, we need it more than ever, guys. So do me a favor. Head on over to loudmajorityusa.com. Click that donate button at the very top of the screen. Consider becoming a monthly donor over at loudmajorityusa.com. If you're watching on X, consider hitting that subscribe button. It's $10 a month. I really do appreciate it. I believe me, some of you know, after the recent news, I need that more than ever. But if you're not going to donate to the Loud Majority, here is someone you could donate to. So on yesterday's show, we talked about Holly from Cincinnati. Holly was the woman who got knocked unconscious by that fucking animal. And he's a fucking animal, and if you have a problem with me using that sort of terminology, you can go right to hell. That animal that punched her in the face and gave her brain damage, well, Benny Johnson set up a GoFundMe or a Give, Send, Go for her, which at last check was at like $125,000, $150,000. Well, she appeared on Benny Johnson's show to thank him and to thank everyone who donated, and it's not easy to watch.
My little one who needs the help, we're not going to be on the streets. And I just don't even know what to say. Just the love from everyone, and the humanity, and the wishes, and the peace, and it just made me see how many people out there are still good, because for so long I just thought the whole country was just full of shame and hate. And I just want you all to know too that you guys have a community of love. I don't even know what to say. You're all just beautiful humans. And let's just keep moving forward with love.
Just so you know, I didn't have the sound on right there, because if I did, I would have been crying just like Benny. So anybody who donated to that cause, I want to thank you for that. It's not easy. I know times are tough right now, but that people like that need all the help they can get. People who did nothing wrong and decided to get the shit beaten out of them by an animal. But Holly then took to the microphones and had a little message had a little itty-bitty message for the lawmakers in Cincinnati, a place that was safer when Jerry Springer was running the show.
First and foremost, I just want to say that I don't want to relive what happened to me, 8 or 9 days ago. I'm here to talk about the future and how we can change it, how we can prevent this from happening to anybody else. These heinous crimes have to stop. I never want this to happen to anyone else, especially a mother, a daughter, somebody who is loved. So I just know what it's done to my family, not just to me. And I think that moving forward, we do need more accountability. And I definitely think that, we need more police officers, but like he said, the judges who are just letting people out with a slap. The man who attacked me and might have permanently damaged me forever should never have been on the streets, ever. And the fact that he had just gotten out of jail previously for something he should have been in there for years, it's really sad to me because I can't even fathom how many other people who have been attacked by the same type of man over and over and over. In Toledo, in Columbus, Cincinnati, Dayton, our streets are being taken over and nobody is doing anything. I am so sad, and I need to be the voice to help all of the victims that never got their justice. The biggest thing that I think really upsets me is the desensitization of humans, where there's a brutal attack, attempted murder in front of you, and they all think, oh, cool, let me get my phone and record it. I truly hope that in the future there's some sort of bill to where somebody has to be prosecuted or at least fined if they don't call 911 first to save someone's life. I have felt hopeless for the future of my children, what kind of world they're going to grow up in, because it has just gotten...
There's two kinds of people out there. There's people who allow themselves to, there's people who become victims, and then there's people who allow themselves to be victimized. And that is a woman who was a victim, who now I got a feeling we're going to be seeing a lot of Holly all over the news. And thank God we are. Thank God we are. She seems to want to speak out about this sort of crap. And I don't know what's going to happen to that guy, but it's definitely not enough. Leah Hunt told me that the fundraiser is now up to almost $600,000. Holy shit. That is, that's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So I want to thank everybody who donated to that. Guys, we're going to wrap up the show real quick. I want to thank everybody so much for tuning in. Yeah, we're gonna wrap up for real quick. Got to head back to work. But I do want to thank everybody so much for tuning in once again on Monday. The show will be airing at 3 p.m. Instead of 1 p.m., so we'll be on 3 p.m. back on LFA TV and across all the other platforms. So I want to thank everybody who tuned in over here over the last couple of days. There's been a little bit of a scheduling conflict with the network, but we got it all worked out, so thank God that we did. I want to thank everybody so much for tuning in. President Trump's got remarks coming up at 4 p.m. I will catch you guys later. Until then, everybody, stay loud.